So the title of this one is, Can I Walk Down the Road Without Looking at My Reflection in the Windows of Parked Cars? Now, why is this something I'd choose to talk about at all? Isn't it normal to want to look presentable? But looking presentable isn't the reason you look, is it? Nor is it the reason that the moment you arrive in a public place, you head straight to the bathroom to check your hair or your makeup in the mirror. Or why you pretend to look at your phone but you haven't actually unlocked it because you're staring at your reflection in the blank screen. The real reason you look, and I am speaking for myself here, feel free to disagree or if this doesn't apply to you, is either vanity or insecurity. Now, before I explain myself further and delve into why this is potentially a much bigger problem than it's given credit for, I'd like to briefly mention that vanity and insecurity are actually the same thing. Let's say, for example, you check your appearance because you like what you see. It makes you feel good or raises your self-esteem to remind yourself that you're a good-looking guy or girl. Well, if you genuinely believe you're attractive, feel attractive, then why is it that you need such frequent reminders of this fact? Surely, if you were truly confident, completely at ease with yourself, you wouldn't need to verify it, or at least not so often or so obsessively. You also wouldn't feel compelled to upload so many photos of yourself to social media. This is obviously all about social proof. If no one ever saw the photos or responded to them, let's be honest, you wouldn't bother. So you might disagree, but for the purposes of the following, whether you check your appearance because you like what you see or because you dislike what you see, the behavior or compulsion is ultimately born of insecurity, either a subtle or overt dis-ease. Okay, now that we've cleared that up, let's return to why looking at my reflection in the windows of parked cars is an issue worth addressing. So the first reason I came up with is that it narrows or internalizes your focus. And whenever I use the word you, just know that I'm really referring to me. So when there's more of me, so to speak, when my appearance or actions are occupying my mind, there's less space for everything and everyone else. I'm less likely to notice beautiful or interesting things out there. I'm more closed off, spending more of my time in the echo chamber of my mind. Now, this leads to reason number 2, which is that when I spend time behind the eyes, as opposed to in front of the eyes, it reduces my capacity to make genuine connections with other people. If I'm more concerned about how the person sitting opposite me in a coffee shop or walking towards me on the street is perceiving me, then how am I to really notice them, to hold their gaze, empathize, or connect? And how might this play out in a dating scenario? Imagine giving the person you've just met all of yourself, all of your attention, as opposed to viewing them through the lens of your own self-image, what they're thinking of you, how you're acting, and how you look. The author Robert Greene describes the absence of this inward orientation in interactions as the key to seduction in his book, The Art of Seduction. It really is powerful when someone looks into your soul, deeply listens and responds to your every word, 100% of their attention on you and you alone. And this is only possible when they're not thinking about themselves. The third reason that looking in the mirror is an issue is that it reinforces the false narrative that how you look is somehow noticed by or relevant to other people, that people actually take the time to think about your receding hairline. They don't. And the reason I know this is because you don't notice theirs. Even if you do, let's say, have the thought that she looks a bit fat in that dress, you don't lay awake at night thinking about it. You don't actually care. You only care about how you look. And it's the same for everyone else too. Fact. Number 4 is that it reinforces social anxiety. In fact, I don't want to use the word anxiety, it's too loaded, so let's call it social nervousness or awkwardness. If walking into a crowded restaurant fills you with dread, then bringing the picture you have of yourself into the forefront of your mind just before doing so, by looking in the mirror, is not a great strategy. Let's just leave that one there. Number 5 is that your physical appearance is such a thin or degrading way to judge your value. And this one is kind of 2 points in one. The first being, how can you take credit for your genetics? how attractive your parents were. You shouldn't. It's got nothing to do with you, and it should have no bearing whatsoever on your sense of self-worth. Easier said than done, admittedly. The second is that your appearance doesn't help other people. What defines you is not your jawline, shapely backside, big nose, or sticky out ears, but the value that you bring to other people. So you're a supermodel, but you just ignored the old lady riddled with arthritis who can't carry her shopping bags because you're taking a selfie. I don't think I need to expand this point much further. Alright, the final reason that I came up with is that it leads to public acting, which is like when you're so conscious of how you're being perceived by people who don't even know or care about you that you put on a front in public, alter the way you walk or stand in a queue, or your sitting posture, trying to look cool, essentially. Now, not only is this such a waste of your limited mental bandwidth, but it also serves to distance other people from you. What attracts us to others is their uncompromising authenticity. People who give off the aura of being truly at ease in their own skin. And this isn't something that can be faked. That's just more public acting. Now, the whole point of public acting is to elevate yourself relative to everyone else. And the only impact, say walking with your chest out and shoulders back to look tougher or more manly, is to make other people feel smaller and more insecure by comparison. And if everyone's doing it, and take a moment to step back and actually look around you, and you'll realize that a pretty high proportion of all the people out there in public are, then doesn't everyone lose out? Wouldn't it be better to consciously diminish yourself to bring people up instead? Okay, so that was the 6 points that I came up with, but what should I do with all of this? The only way to check, or to really find out how big of an impact compulsively checking your appearance is having on your life, is to stop doing it entirely. In the same way that the only way to discover the extent of your phone or coffee addiction is to stop using your phone or stop drinking coffee. Now, I'm not a monk, but I have some personal experience, having spent 2 or 3 one-week periods in which I didn't look at my reflection at all. Now, the last one was a while back, but here are my recollections nonetheless. So it was very difficult to begin with, to remember not to, and to resist the urge, but also because I felt so vulnerable going out and not knowing how I looked. As the week progressed, however, my self-concept, the image I had of how I looked, became blurry and less real. And I can honestly say that my confidence improved quite significantly as a result. To bring my self-image into conversations with others, for example, would have required mental effort, and even if I did wonder about how I looked as someone glanced in my direction, to come up with an image would have been guesswork. I'd have been clutching at straws, and because no one actually seemed to notice my hair and certainly didn't comment on it, I allocated much less mental attention to it as well. Alright, maybe a third attempt. What do we